Welcome to this interactive explainer. If you're someone who loves communicating clearly, well, you're in exactly the right place. Go ahead and grab your mental notepad, because today we're embarking on a real level-up journey through the architecture of the English language. We're actually building the ultimate study guide here. It's not just about memorizing dusty old rules. It's about mastering the exact tools that make your speech and writing absolutely undeniably flawless. So let's dive right in. Here's our agenda for the explainer today. We're going to start with sentence types, then move on to conjunctions, connectors, and the subjunctive mood. Then stick around because we're wrapping up with a pop quiz on conjunction types and the final stage on correcting common sentence errors. All right, level 1, sentence types and structures. Before we get into the really complex stuff, we gotta look at the foundational building blocks of English. Now, a sentence is basically just a group of words that expresses a complete thought. And the golden rule? Every complete sentence needs a subject doing the action and usually an object receiving it. Like if I say, she wrote a letter, she is our active subject and a letter is the object. Simple, right? Now, all communication breaks down into just 4 main types. First up, declarative sentences. These just state a fact and end with a period, like the sun is shining. Second, interrogative sentences. These ask questions, usually starting with who, what, or where, and they end with a question mark, like what time is it? Third, we've got imperative sentences. These are your commands or requests, like close the door, which can end in a period or an exclamation point. And finally, exclamatory sentences. These show strong emotion, like what a beautiful sunset, and those firmly end with an exclamation point. Moving right along to level 2, bridging ideas with conjunctions. Fantastic, you've cleared level 1. Now let's see how this builds into something bigger as part of our study guide. If sentence types are the bricks of our house, well, conjunctions are the mortar and the bridges. They link words and ideas together so your thoughts flow smoothly instead of sounding, choppy and robotic. There's a clear division of labor here with 3 main types. Coordinating conjunctions, like and, but, and or, join 2 perfectly equal parts of a sentence. For example, I like tea and coffee. Then we have subordinating conjunctions, like because or although. These attach a dependent, weaker clause to an independent one, like I stayed home because it was raining. And finally, correlative conjunctions. These always come in pairs, like either or both and. They're just fantastic for creating a really nice rhythm and balance in your writing. Another great way to look at conjunctions is by their meaning and function in everyday conversation. We use conjunctions of time to show sequence, like waiting until someone comes back. Place conjunctions tell us where, like following someone wherever they go. Reason conjunctions explain why, like wearing a hat because it's sunny. And purpose conjunctions, like so that, explain the ultimate goal, as in she studied hard so that she could pass. Actually, that's a perfect segue into our next section. Level 3, advanced fluency and logical connectors. All right, you're doing great. We're moving way beyond basic bridges now and getting into the nuanced transition words. These are the words that help us stress our points, show contrast, and really polish our fluency. We use emphasis connectors like indeed to really hammer a point home. We use addition connectors like furthermore to stack new information. Contrast words like however show a change in direction. Cause connectors like therefore explain consequences, and concession connectors like despite are used to express surprise or contrast even when something is totally expected. Now listen up, because here's a massive structural tip that trips up so many people. When you're making a concession, even though and despite means similar things, but their grammatical rules are completely different. Even though absolutely must be followed by a subject and a verb, even though he studied hard. But despite must be followed by a noun or a verb ending in ing. You say despite being tired. You never, ever say, despite he was tired. That structural precision is exactly what separates good English from great English. Okay, time for level 4, the subjunctive mood. This right here is the advanced architectural flourish of English grammar. We use the indicative mood to state facts, sure, but the subjunctive is an entirely different beast used for wishes, demands, recommendations, and imagined scenarios rather than real facts. It's a super powerful tool to make you sound incredibly formal, educated, and precise. The crazy thing is, the subjunctive hides right in plain sight. It survives in fixed traditional expressions like God save the Queen. Notice it's not God saves. We completely drop the S for the third person singular. The subjunctive is also triggered by specific verbs of demand, like insist or recommend, and it's triggered by adjectives of necessity, like essential or vital. After these triggers, the verb just stays in its bare base form. Let's illustrate that exact difference. If I say, I recommend that he study, That's the subjunctive. It's a directive, it's advice. I'm pushing an obligation on him. But if I say, I believe that he studies, well, that's the indicative. It's simply a factual observation of what he already does. Do you hear the difference there? Obligation versus fact? Literally, just dropping that S in study changes the entire mood of the sentence. We also have the past subjunctive, and this one survives almost entirely in the verb to be. When you're talking about an unreal or hypothetical situation, you use were for absolutely all persons. Yep, even if the subject is I or he or she. So you don't say, if I was rich, you say, if I were rich, I would travel the world. Or, I wish it were summer. Swapping in were here immediately elevates your language. All right, here we go. Boss battle pop quiz. Okay, take a deep breath. You've gathered all the tools for our study guide. Now it's time to test exactly what you've learned with our built-in quiz on conjunction types. I'm going to throw some sentences at you, and I want you to actively figure them out with me. Ready? Here's your first challenge. Identify the conjunction in this sentence. Although it was raining, they played football. Look closely at the sentence structure. What's the bridge word here? I'll give you a second. Yes, the answer is although. It's a subordinating conjunction. It's attaching that weaker dependent clause about the rain to the main action of playing football, and it's doing it specifically to show a concession or contrast. Brilliant. Let's keep that momentum going. Next question, identify the conjunction here. He likes apples and oranges. Quick, what's the bridge linking these ideas? You got it. It's and. This is a coordinating conjunction because it's linking two totally equal parts, apples and oranges. It's keeping the sentence perfectly balanced. And now our final stage, correcting common errors. We're going to apply everything we've just learned by troubleshooting and correcting some very common sentence errors. Knowing the rule is one thing, but spotting it out in the wild, that gives you true fluency. Let's fix these up. Take the incorrect phrase. Despite she was tired. Remember our rule from earlier? Despite is a concession connector that absolutely cannot take a subject and a verb. So the correct, flawless version is, despite being tired. We use the verbing structure. If you really wanted to keep the subject and verb, you'd have to switch the bridge and say, even though she was tired. Okay, here's a classic subjunctive error. Incorrect, I insist that he is present. Now, why is that wrong? Well, the verb insist is a massive trigger word for demand. That means we're out of the realm of facts and into the subjunctive mood. So we must use the bare base form of the verb. The correct formal sentence is, I insist that he be present. And let's fix one of the most common hypothetical errors in the entire English language. Incorrect, if I was you, I would study. Because this is a totally unreal, imagined situation, the past subjunctive demands we use were for all persons. Correct? If I were you, I would study. It just sounds so much more educated and precise, doesn't it? Let's bring all our tools together in one final masterpiece of a sentence. It is essential that every student practice actively so that they can communicate flawlessly. Notice how all our tools are working together here. Essential triggers the subjunctive, so we use the base verb practice without an S, and so that act as our subordinating conjunction of purpose. Mastering these sentence types, connectors, and moods doesn't just help you pass a quiz. It unlocks an entirely new level of precision in how you connect with the world. So my final question to you is, now that you have these advanced grammatical blueprints, what powerful ideas are you gonna build with them? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.